The Toronto Raptors, yes, they're below 500, but make no mistake about it, they've been extremely impressive. Toronto's currently 13-15 on the season, putting them at 11th in the Eastern Conference. They're 5-5 in their last 10, with their most recent result being a heartbreaking loss to the Brooklyn Nets in overtime. This team is 10th in offensive rating and 17th in defensive rating. Three main headlines for this team. One being Scotty Barnes in the Rookie of the Year race, two being the individual improvements and individual consistency, and three being health. Starting with Scotty Barnes, I have him in the second spot in the Rookie of the Year race, just behind Evan Mobley, who I talked about in last vid. But that's no shot at Scotty Barnes at all. He's been equally impressive. He's only behind Evan Mobley by a tad bit in my opinion. But talking about Scotty's game, he has an all-around impact. There isn't really a part of the game that he doesn't affect. He's a great rim protector. He's a good on-ball defender, gets in passing lanes as well. He's a really good playmaker in the open floor, and he's improving as a playmaker in the half court. He can get to the rim on his own, and he's a great pick and roll / drop off target, so he's a great source of offense inside. And his 3-point shot has been much better than his collegiate display at Florida State. Yeah, this guy is tremendous. Like I said, he impacts every facet of the game. And the incredible thing is the fact that he's been having this much of an impact, despite having arguably 4 guys ahead of him in the pecking order in Pascal Siakam, Fred VanVleet, OG Anunoby, and Gary Trent. That 5, like the 4 guys I just said, and Scotty Barnes have only played together like a handful of games. But still, like all 4 of those guys have been, I guess, emphasized more in like creating their own shots. But Scotty Barnes has still been able to have an incredible impact on the game in multiple facets, which is really impressive, honestly. We knew coming out of Florida State that he was supposed to be this versatile, like point forward type of player, but I don't think anybody expected him to have several nights throughout the season where he was actually the best player on the defensive end and the best player on the offensive end in his first year in Toronto with the amount of guys that were ahead of him. I think he has an incredibly intriguing ceiling. Like I said, for one reason, the amount of impact he's had as really being like the number 4 guy a lot of the times throughout the season. I think he has Defensive Player of the Year potential. He's the best defender in his class, he was heralded as such, and he's already showcasing that he can guard 1 through 5 in his very first year in the league. In the last game against Brooklyn, Kevin Durant was giving him buckets a couple times, but a lot of times Scotty was making it really tough for him to score over him. And even though Kevin Durant was scoring on him quite a bit, Scotty Barnes wasn't really afraid of taking on the challenge of guarding Kevin Durant. So it also shows that he's not just a good defender that the coach will throw at the team's best player. I think Scotty Barnes really just wants to take on the best or the hardest defensive challenge on any given night. I think Scotty will be a stat sheet stuffer as he develops. He's dropping 15, 8, and 3, a steal and a block a game as a rookie. He's getting an efficient 15 a game off of drives, fast break finishes, dunker spot finishes, and about a 3-pointer a game. But I also really noticed that he's creating his shot a lot more in the post. I didn't really know he had like a post fadeaway game, but he's gone to that quite a bit. He's hit some really tough step back shots, whether they're deep 2s or some 3-point step back shots as well. So I think we're really seeing Scotty develop his offensive game as the season goes on, as he gets more confidence and as he gets more of a leash from Nick Nurse and from the veterans on this team of Pascal and Fred VanVleet, giving him the confidence to really be that guy on the ball, be that lead playmaker, be that lead ball handler. He's getting 3 assists per game just off of really running the fast break and having high IQ in the half court. I think as the season's gone on, like I said, he's getting more opportunity to be the main playmaker in the half court. It's not just always Fred and Pascal. Scotty is getting some main playmaking looks in the half court. The swing factors for him are going to be his ball handle and his outside shot. I think he has a good handle for being the tertiary ball handler, especially playing the power forward position. But I think he has the potential to be the main ball handler or primary facilitator as that oversized point guard. And he's going to have to somewhat tighten up his handle to really live up to that caliber. Regarding his outside shot, He's such a freak athlete and a great inside finisher that I always want that to be the main focal point of his way of scoring, but it was obvious that coming out of college that his outside shot would be something that would untap his potential. Him shooting 35% has already done wonders for him. And it's not just his catch and shoot game, just him being a 3-point threat with the ball in his hands could also do wonders for him, being able to create a 3 off the dribble. My assessment is that Scotty Barnes can be the best player on a perennial playoff team at some point in his career. Moving to individual improvements and consistency, let's start out with the improvements from last year to now. Those two guys are going to be OG and Fred. OG in his games played looked a lot more confident as a shooter and shot creator. He's taken on more responsibility of driving to the rim, and he's also been a focal point in getting open off ball for 3-point attempts as well. This year, OG's improved from 15 points per game to 20 points per game while retaining efficiency. Fred had somewhat of a down season last year, mainly in terms of efficiency, especially from 2-point range. This year, he's been on point though. His 3-point shot creation has been superb. He's still a good floor general, and he's still a rugged on-ball defender. As for consistency, those two guys are going to be Pascal and Gary. Trent Jr. arrived from Toronto last year and emerged as a new source of shot creation with higher usage. And he's continued that this year, and I think he's getting more credit on the defensive end. He's really being a ball hawk, and he's really able to get a lot of steals on ball and in passing lanes. Pascal has continued to be a good slasher at the rim, building on his playmaking improvement he displayed last year, and of course being a multi-positional defender, playing even more center this year than last. The Raptors really experimented Pascal at the center position last year, mainly because their center rotation was ass, and they're playing that a lot more this year, especially with the new personnel they got in Scotty being a multi-positional defender. Now moving into health. Speaking of Pascal, he missed the first 10 games of the season recovering from an off-season operation. He's really starting to find his groove as of late. And the other guys, OG and Khem Birch, they've missed the last 10 or 11 games due to a hip injury and a leg injury respectively to the two. OG was really displaying another big improvement in his game, and I think he was ready to become this team's lead shot creator. As for Khem Birch's absence, it just hurts Toronto's center depth. Precious Achiuwa has also been out of the lineup recently just due to COVID protocols. Moving to the current team, this is their rotation. Their guards are Fred, Gary, and Svi Mikhailuk. Their forwards are Pascal, OG, Scotty, and Banton. And their centers are Achiuwa, Birch, and Boucher. Now, they don't have that many guards in their arsenal. I mean, they have Malachi Flynn, but he hasn't really played that much. But yeah, they don't play that many guards, mainly because a lot of their forwards have great playmaking potential and ability. Even the Banton guy, he kind of has point forward potential. I've seen him play a couple times. And for their center rotation, it's a bit bleak, mainly because Achiuwa, even in his games played, he hasn't really played that well. And Khem Birch is injured, of course, so Chris Boucher is their main center as of right now. So I'm going to have two different starting 5 graphics. At full health, their starting lineup would be Fred, Trent Jr., OG, Scotty, and Pascal. This starting 5 is crazy. It's so versatile on the defensive end. Basically, everybody is a plus defender. OG, Scotty, and Pascal can basically all guard 1 through 5. So I love that defensive starting 5, and then on the offensive end, all of these guys can really get their own shots. Fred, Scotty, and Pascal are great playmakers. So the diversity and skill set in this starting 5 at full health is ridiculous, but obviously they're not at full health right now. So the starting 5 they've been rolling out has been Fred, Trent Jr., Scotty, Pascal, and Boucher. Moving to strengths and weaknesses, their strengths are size and athleticism, versatility, scoring depth, and backcourt 3-point shot creation. The size and athleticism, pretty self-explanatory. OG, Scotty, Pascal, they're all guys around the height of 6'8", 6'9", all can defend 1 through 5. Having 3 of those guys in your lineup is ridiculous, let alone having 3 of those guys in a hypothetical starting 5 together is even more insane. Talking about versatility, I mean, it's kind of the same thing, like those 3 guys. Their most impressive attribute is their versatility, because OG can defend all 5 positions. Scotty, same thing, but he's like a 6'9" point forward. And Pascal, versatile defender, improving his playmaking ability while being a power forward. I talked about scoring depth already, kind of, with that starting five at full health. All of those guys can really get their own shot. And then the backcourt 3-point shot creation. Fred VanVleet and Gary Trent Jr., they've been really good in the pick and roll and creating their own shots, and in the isolation when the offense has kind of been bleak and come to a halt. Trent Jr. and Fred VanVleet have been able to create their own shot from 3-point land off of step backs, side steps, etc. Moving into weaknesses, they are the center rotation, their rebounding, their health, and number one option. I'll get to that later. As for the center rotation, it's just been bad because Achua has kind of underperformed, and then he's been out of the rotation. Same thing with Khem Birch, so their only real center is Chris Boucher, and he's a good rim protector, and he's a solid stretch 5. But moving into the next weakness, rebounding, that's kind of where Boucher kind of gets exposed because he's slim as a center, and he gets overpowered by basically 95% of centers in the league. And the fact that they are kind of devoid of centers right now really hurts their rebounding. As for health, Pascal missed the first 10 games of the season, and then OG and Khem Birch, they've been out of the rotation for the past 10 games, and I think they're going to be out for the foreseeable future, so I don't know when they're coming back. And for the number one option being a weakness, that's only like a slight weakness because, like I said, they have a lot of guys that can create their own shot. They just don't have that go-to head honcho right now, like an elite level shot creator. And honestly, that's a fine weakness for them to have because OG was showing signs that he could develop into that. And then I think Scotty Barnes kind of has that potential over the next 3 or 4 years. I think he can get to that point. I really like the position that the Raptors are in this season. This is a new era of Toronto basketball, and Fred VanVleet and Pascal Siakam are the 2 star vets on this team at the forefront. They were the young guys of the 2019 championship team. Now they're the leaders of this core. This younger core, consisting of Gary Trent, OG Anunoby, and Scotty Barnes. Over the past 2 seasons with Toronto, Trent has found his confidence and established himself as a gung-ho shot creator while being very disruptive on the other end. OG really hit another level this season, being more aggressive and getting his own offense while being one of the best defenders in the league. He was definitely on track to being a main candidate for most improved player before the injury. And Scotty Barnes has been nothing short of impressive. On the Rookie of the Year shortlist, he's come in and lived up to, maybe even surpassed, the high expectations regarding his defensive impact coming out of college. And he's definitely overperformed on the offensive end, playmaking in the fast break, scoring inside off the dribble or as a roller, and displaying a much improved outside shot. The Raptors have somebody who has superstar potential in my opinion. As of right now, Toronto's just outside the playoff picture in the East, but with a great front office, an S-tier head coach, a talented young core, and 2 championship-tested star veterans in their prime, I think the Raptors are in a great position to become a member of the conference's elite in due time.